So in this section, I'm going to be talking about Okta hug to hug. So basically, an hug to hug is a situation where you are trying to give a different organization access to your internal resources, your internal application. So you are kind of establishing like a federation whereby you establish trust with that other organization for their users to come into your organization and access your resources. Um, so this scenario basically happens when there is a merger, that is two companies joining each other, or when there is an acquisition, a bigger company is acquiring a smaller company, or you can also use this when you have two um, departments, two independent departments in your organization that each have their own tenants. So you can use this org to org for when they need to collaborate so they can share those resources. You don't need to establish the resource. You don't need to integrate the resource in each of the tenants. So you integrate it in the bigger tenant and then you establish this org to org trust. So to do this, we have what we call the target tenant and we have what we call the source tenant. In the Entra ecosystem, we call this B2B collaboration or B2B direct connect or something like that. So the target tenant is going to be the bigger tenant, while the source tenant is the location, is the tenant where the identities are coming from, the organization where the identities are coming from. So we are pushing it from the source into the target. In my case, my dev account, as you can see at the top, is my target tenant, while the trial account that I've just set up is the source tenant. So we are going to be going through the process of setting up the integration. Something I have to add is that in the Okta space, they call the target tenant the HEB, and then the source tenant they call it the spoke. So I'm very used to Entra, so I'm using target and source, and that feels more relatable to me. But hub and spoke. So to do that, we're gonna come into the hub tenant. We come to security, and then we click on identity provider, and then we select add an identity provider, and what we need is this SAML 2.0. Then we go, yeah. So here we just fill in all the requirements. That's the name of the organization you're trying to sync with. So it's okay. So we are leaving persistent name and ID. The expression we want it to be picked from the IDP user, the subject name and the ID. This is how we want it to be populated. And then we want it to match against the Okta username, depending on what you want in your environment. But in this section, we're matching against the Okta username. Now, if you want automatic linking, you can allow that. For me, no. And also, there is just in time. If you want just in time, basically, just in time is you are not giving access or permission off the bat. The access and permission are in a dormant state. So only when the identity needs it, they make a request for it. They validate themselves just for the time that they need it in, and after that period expires, they go back to being in the dormant state. So it's all within the framework of least privilege and zero trust and stuff like that. So for this section, for now, I'm not going to set up just in time. I'll do that a bit later. So we're turning off just in time. Now, for the summer protocol settings, all of this information we'll be getting that our our spoke tenant, that is the source tenant. So to do that, we come back into the source tenant, we go to security. Oh, sorry. No, we go to applications, browse app catalog, and then we search for the org to org. That's fine. And now we integrate it. So to fill this in, we name the org to org. So let's do this like okay, yeah, let's put that. And this base URL is the URL of the tenant you're trying to, or the org that you're trying to sync with. So in this section, I'm just copying it and removing the admin. Okay. And yeah, if you want the icon to be visible to users or not, then you go save. Now in this next section, we will have to fill in the SAML information. So we have a public document for that. One moment. There is the instructions here. You can use that to fill it in. So you can follow along with it. So basically, we just come in here and we copy all of this and we, just fill it in. So we copy one. Mm, oh, one moment. One moment. So for the default release state, if your organization, like if you're using a different identity that is not Okta, you have to fill in this section. But in this case, I'm going to leave it blank because Okta is going to automatically populate it. And you can see all of this metadata details has been filled in. Um, so we're just going to come down and see what else we need to fill in. So if you want to start secure web authentication, you can activate that and then you have the option to fill that in. So that user sets their password, yes, and then we just go done. Now once that is done, we come back to the sign on section, and this is actually where we configure the SAML 2.0. So we click on this. So now for the SAML protocol setting, we copy the issuer URL, copy, and we paste there. Sign on URL, we copy it and we paste it in here. IDP signature certificate, you download that or you copy it, um, copy the um, certificate. And now let's see what else we need to fill in. We leave the SHA, response and assertion, signature verification, yes, yes, and then the destination. So once all of that is filled in, we just click finish. And then we need to verify. So yeah, so now the authentication has been established, and you just simply come over to this side and also hit save. One moment. Mhm. Save. And just like that, we've established. So there are a few more things we need to go over. So so the last thing we need to do is we just need to update this assertion customer service URL and the audience URI. So to do that, we come back into our into our spoke tenant, and then we click on this. Yeah, so these two, you just copy it from here, you paste this here, and then you do the same, you copy and you paste. now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a user in here. So after creating the user, I am going to assign the user to this application, which is to the Org application, and then we'll try and see if the user can connect to this tenant or this domain or this organization and validate into it, authenticate into it, and see the Zendex app that we integrated into this organization. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create a user, um, and then we'll go from there. Beep, not a person. Yes, user, first name. So I've just filled in the information of the user that I'm trying to create. If you want to activate the user now or later, if you want to set the password or let the user set the password themselves, you just fill it in the normal way, and then you save that. Yeah, I'm just gonna save that, and then we refresh. So now we can see that we have this user to Smith. It's showing as password expired. So you would need to reset his password. I'm gonna do that in a moment. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as this for now. Assign application. Yes, yeah, that's the one we want to assign. So you can come into the app and assign, or you can simply assign from um, the user's play. Assign, done, save and go back, done. So he has been assigned to the Hug to Hug application, and now we're going to try and see if he is able to authenticate and see the Zendesk there. Okay, so I have just logged into the customer hand of the account that I set up. That's the user that I set up, and you can see here we have the connector app. So when we click on the Hug to Hug app, so when we click on that, we just need to log in with um, his identity. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, the password. Now, the reason we are receiving this error is because there is no identity in this organization yet to match this. So that is why the just in time we have to come back here and then we click edit and then we activate the just in time. Yeah. So basically, the just in time is going to create a new user just for the period when this login is needed. And yeah, we're just going to click update identity provider. So that has been authenticated successfully and now it is saved. So here we just go back to the customer hand side of it. We refresh and then we click this time you see, without prompting us to the without prompting us to the Okta sign-in page, automatically just in time has created an identity for us, and now we are in. You can see we are in the dev environment. We are in the dev organization, the dev tenant. So these are the apps that the user has. There are no apps currently assigned. You can see it here. So what we basically do is we can assign the apps to them now, or if you have a group already created, then the apps, if you have a group already created for connecting users, then they get the app by default. So to do that, we simply come to people, and here we can see the just-in-time identity that was created. So we click on that, and then we assign application. Zendesk, assign, Salesforce, yes, 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 yes. Save and go back. Salesforce, yes, save and go back. And then we're done. So once we come back here and we simply refresh, we should be able to have the apps, let's see below. And here we can see Salesforce. Now the thing with Zendesk not showing is probably because the icon was made invisible. So I'm going to try and fix that. Let's go to application. We can see here, do not display app icon to users. So that is what we need to edit. We turn that off. And then we save. Once that is saved, we refresh again. And now you can see we have Zendesk and we have Salesforce. So just like that, we've set up organization to organization from up tenant to spoke tenant. We pushed users from the spoke tenant into the up tenant, and we assigned applications to them. So even if you want to assign them to groups, it's the same procedure. You just go back to directory, people, um, you click on the user, groups, type the group to add to Paris, and just like that, we've added them to the Paris group. So remember that when you add a user to a group, they automatically get the permissions that that group has. So in this case, he has also been given the admin privileges that was previously assigned to this group. So that's that with hug to hug setup. Thank you.